The administrators were many, but the chief administrator also happens to be the founder and executive chairman of the Africa Prosperity Network. So I'd like to bring up stage for some quick remarks. I think we can call him the Honorable Gabby Asare Otchere-Darko, the founder and chairman of this fascinating, energizing movement. Put your hands together for Gabby.
Thank you, Bernard. I actually enjoy the WhatsApp thing. When I was creating it, I didn't enjoy it that much. But it was a joke. I beg you, don't take it too seriously. Your Excellencies, distinguished Africans, friends of Africa, I don't actually have much to say, but just to say one thing. In 2020, there I was in Davos, slipping and sliding in the icy streets of Davos, and to go to an event where they were going to talk about the Africa Growth Fund, which was set up in Cape Town the previous year. There was a lot of fanfare, a lot of African heads of states, and the goal was that by 2025, they were going to support about, I think, 100 million SMEs. And they had all these big companies, Alibaba, all of them supporting. We left Davos, then there was COVID, and then there was complete silence. What I thought was interesting about Davos was that we carry ourselves and we go there every year, and we are not part of the major discussion. We find some poxy little hotel somewhere, and then we have our little conversations by ourselves, and then we come back home. But then we are all in a rush to go to Davos, where we are not the story. And that's why we create things like this, Africa Prosperity Dialogues, where we meet, and the conversation is about us. We are not in a little corner somewhere where they tick a box to mention something to fill their conscience that yes, they've spoken about us. Usually, this is the fourth one, and thanks to a great team that we have, Dr. Eugene Owusu, thank you. He did the first one. I wasn't in Ghana at the time. Patricia Poku Diaby, thank you. Vanessa Rue, thank you. Mani Asfor, thank you. Where are they? Yofi Grant, my own wife, my managing partner at home and in the office, Najwa Hartman, our CEO, Sidik Eltum, and of course, the lady herself. She has so much energy that I don't fear getting old when I see Madam Zuma. And then we have to thank our partners like Badia, Fatima, who have been strong with us all this while, KGL, Telecel, AfriExim, AFDB, all the partners who believe in the dream. Now, usually it's a meeting between political leaders and business leaders, but we decided to open it up because what we are talking about, whatever we want to do now, if it works, it will be for the benefit of the young people. In 1977, African leaders met here, I think 21 of them, in Accra, and they set up the Africa standards organization. And the idea they set it up was that they wanted to have a standardized system of producing stuff. And that was the foundation of our economic integration. Because they believed that if we couldn't manufacture, then we'll have nothing to sell among ourselves. This was 49 years ago. Again, they met in Abuja in 1991 and said they were going to set up the Economic Community of Africa. A few years later, as we saw, they ratified it and said that in 20 years' time, they will have a single currency. 34 years' time, they said. They will have a single currency. They will have a Central Bank of Africa. They will have a customs union. And as Museveni reminded us, they thought 34 years was too far away. It is before us in 2028. So ask yourself, how far have we gotten to implementing what our own leaders agreed to in 1991? And that's been the story. They met again in 2018 in Addis Ababa. They signed the Free Movement Protocol. This was January 2018. 2 months later, they met in Kigali and signed the AFCFTA. They need 15 signatures to ratify the Free Movement Protocol. Only 4, as you saw. And what is interesting, that out of the 4, 2 have been suspended from the AU, Mali and Niger. So only 2 have signed. And I think that this idea where our leaders meet, sign treaties and protocols, and then go back home, and 2 years later, you go back and sign treaties and protocol. We need to say enough is enough. Because those things that they sign, and Madam Zuma will tell you, she was the chairperson when they came up with the Agenda 2063. A lot of thought has gone in. And those are the things that we think will help move our continent forward. Yet, for some reason, we feel content to protect our borders as if our sovereignty relies on them or depends on them. But what those borders do is they restrict our sovereignty. They restrict the substance of who we are and the substance of our sovereignty. You cannot have sovereignty when you don't have economic leverage. And if we don't find a way to understand that and come back together, the biggest threat facing us is youth unemployment. It's the biggest threat facing our continent today. Currently, we have 1 billion young people in Africa, 1 billion and growing. By 2040, our population will be about 1 billion. 1.3 billion of them will be the workforce, the biggest in the world. Are our economies big enough to create jobs for them? Let's think about it. It's a dangerous, dangerous space that we are entering. How to find jobs for these frustrated young people. And our economies are not built to take care of them. Let's understand that. Let's accept it. And let's open the borders. As the Americans and Europeans are raising their borders to keep us out, we are keeping our borders to restrict our progress. Does that make sense to us? It doesn't. 2 weeks ago, the EU signed a free trade agreement with India. Why? Because India's population is 1.5 billion. We have a population of 1.5 billion and growing. And if we don't understand that sovereignty is sovereignty when it gives your citizens dignity, then we have a long way to go. Thank you very much. I don't want to talk anymore.
Ladies and gentlemen, the executive chairman and founder of the Africa Prosperity Network, Gabby Asare Otchere-Darko.